Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Guil. I am one of the main contributors behind Regions Unite, which is a community-driven initiative to bring together people who are working in a broad range of sectors and building regenerative solutions. And that might and that is in the individual level, regenerating ourselves, at a community level, regenerating the community, but also in the environment. So very broad, and we, in our events, in real life events, we invite people from outside Web3 as well. So cooperatives, NGOs, climate activists, anyone that is working in the regenerative solutions are very welcome to cross-pollinate ideas around creating regenerative spaces and yeah, building better systems in general. So yeah, that's me. Kris, if you want to talk a little bit about yourself.
Oh yeah, I'm Kris. I work at Gitcoin. I don't organize regenerative events, but I join a lot of them. And I think honestly that ETH Barcelona is pretty regenerative in many of the things, the way that it is organized. Honestly, I think even the fact that there's less people than last year is already feeling very regenerative to me because it's like less overwhelming. But yeah, that's just me. Kris, hey.
Yeah, so anyone who's also in the regenerative space, event making space, welcome to join us in this conversation. Yeah, I can talk a little bit about... yeah, I can talk about a little bit about my experiences building these events and also going to some of these events. I know Julia's here from CCG. That's a very regen event for me.
Want to hear you.
And yeah, is Manu here still, or you know? But yeah, there's a lot of people here building regenerative events. So I thought that we could maybe talk about our what we have learned so far in building these kinds of spaces. We at Regions Unite, we started with our first event in Brussels with Leon and Xavier. They had this idea to bring together regens, uniting them. And but doing it in a very intentional way, in a very bringing facilitation as a key component of these spaces, because when you bring together all of these different bubbles, like for example climate activists, a lot of them hate Web3, you know, because of the climate impact. There is chances for conflicts for people who are, you know, like having certain frictions with each other, and having facilitated spaces for that is essential. Because it really focuses on the human connection rather than the projects or who has the better solution. We think that everyone has a little piece of the puzzle. So yeah, this is one of the key things.
I did like in the one in Berlin, I did a talk or conversation, actually also a fishbowl on, I forgot the exact title, but it was yeah, why crypto people are narrow-minded and activists are too why crypto people are hypocritical and activists are naive, something like that. Just to like bring them together and have this conversation, like why we need to get closer, and we need this a lot in the space. Oh, and by the way, just again in between, if you're like anything that we're just rambling on about, and you're like, oh, this makes me think of something, come here, join our fishbowl. This is.
I was going to say, how would you
join.
So yeah, how would you define a regenerative event? So as I said, there's like different levels in which you can look at it. You can look at it at individual level. So does this event offer spaces for decompression? Does it create environments in which people feel included? And doesn't, there's a few things. Are there sessions dedicated to self-care? For example, you just had a panel to talk about burnout. This is one of the things that, you know, makes an event focused on regeneration at the individual level as a contributor of DAOs, for example.
And that's like the regeneration begins within.
Yeah, at the individual level. So you need to really bring the people who are attuned to these kinds of things within themselves so that they can bring it to the community, right? And also like at Regions Unite, we focus a lot on bringing and curating the space for diversity as well. so not having the same the same kind of people, same kind of background, because we want to kind of like get out of those echo chambers.
Speaking of, it's an all-white panel, right? All-white panel right here. Maybe someone else to come up.
Yeah, it's true.
Feel welcomed to come and share some ideas around this. If you've been to a regenerative event, like what have you observed are the key elements of a space that, you know, is regenerative?
Yeah, I actually spontaneously have to think about an event also because you mentioned diversity on stage and all these things. There used to be something called I think DAOGov, a group that got together in Berlin 4 years ago already, and it was facilitated by women, and they were specialized facilitators, but it was for me so regenerative and refreshing how there was so much time for just calm and peace, and it was almost hypnotic the way that they were like, okay, now you can talk, and it was like, I don't know, like the male energy is very much, or very often, like we just heard for the people who were here for the thing before, shouting over each other and interrupting and just let's just like connect and interact. It's like that is a very feminine energy to me that I like, or non-linear. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just feel it like when you're talking about regenerative and feminine energy, something that we can learn a lot is from women's circles. And why women's energy is more about collaboration and getting together, listening together. And also you were talking about being fast. It's a masculine energy, really young, like you go, go, go. And women, in 1 month, we have 4 different cycles, different stages, and we cannot be delivering all day. There are moments to get inside as nature. We have 4 different seasons. And I think bringing this knowledge from women's circles, and actually in the beginning, before we started to working on crops, humanity, societies were ruled or designed by women because they were the ones who were staying at the village, and the masculine energy were going hunting. So that's the beginning of this different relationship with governance, actually. So bringing this women's circle into the space, I think could be really regenerative, but we need more women here.
I'm just curious, how have you found the masculine energy coming into crypto, which is maybe quite a masculine dominated kind of field, as with other tech and finance kind of sectors, just for you personally maybe, or any other reflections?
I started here in crypto, I started blockchain 1 year ago, and I'm struggling. I'm used to be really fast, and I come from retail before, so it's also fast, go, deliver, and produce. And then I switched to, I started being related more into activism, climate activism, and that's where I learned about regenerative cultures inside of Extinction Rebellion. In Extinction Rebellion has different columns, and you have community, you have communication, you have the people legal, blah, and there's one that is regenerative culture, and it's a specific group that is taking care of the people inside of the community, and I think that's what is missing here. We just have a conversation about, we don't have, sometimes we just want to cry, but crying or feeling vulnerable is not accepted in this space, because you have to be tough and rough, and that's the way of going. And actually that's how the planet is right now. So I think there's something in regenerative and taking it slow, listen, and having different kind of situations so we can be more regenerative.
Yeah, I actually just, in the previous conversation, I teared up on, my colleague Lauren teared up on stage, and then I also had tears in my eyes. So I was like, that was good. I felt like, oh no, I preach vulnerability, but now I feel too vulnerable. But actually, it's good, we need this. Yeah.
Are you able to share what was so powerful that got you to feel this emotion?
Yeah, she was touched by, she was talking about the community and about the Give people, because it's a lot about community, and actually connecting and opening up and daring to be vulnerable. And then she was looking at the audience and seeing all her friends, and she was, emotional. And I love it. It's great. We need that.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to create these spaces in a way, like at Regions Unite, we have this saying, no PowerPoints, but power circles. So instead of having this format in which you have a person up on the stage lecturing, we have circles of people talking and exchanging on a eye-to-eye level. We start the events with a plenary where everyone that is participating in the event is together in one place and setting their intentions and being present. That is how we start everything, because it's already sets the tone for the whole event. And there's a bunch of other things that we've been trying out. We've been trying out with an economy of gratitude. So when you come into the event, you receive things that you can gift people. In the Brussels event, we had these little vouchers of like, I'm thankful, I'm grateful to you because, and then you fill it in and you give to people, and you can offer things as well. So like, I am really good at explaining how AI works or how to do regenerative agriculture, and then we can have a 1-hour session about this exchange, or we can just go for a walk in the park, and and people are really leaning into this gift economy inside the event. And that's
I was there, and it was really cool. They had these almost like physical, like a physical NFT, a real life NFT, and you wrote down like, I will offer an hour coaching session, or you can come stay at my house, and then everyone wrote them down, and you could either give them to people throughout the event that you kind of made a connection with, or put them into a pool, and maybe even after the event they put them on or digitize it, and you've got this kind of connected community of people who are offering something, and it's almost like a new form of currency, like a mutual credit kind of. It's pretty cool.
Exactly, yeah.
Fishbowl.
I want to
There's
do
still
some
place in this
marketing
fishbowl.
for Regions Unite.
Yes.
It's nice that you go in these spaces and people do marketing for the other projects, no? Because you know each other, so it's good. No, I was thinking among the many dimensions that we can speak about, this is the dimension of optimizing the use of collective energies. Can you hear me well? It's too loud? It's low? Okay. Regions Unite is getting specialized in providing liberating structures as a service. Who knows who liberating structure is? Some methodology for, okay. Basically, it's like instead of doing the traditional form of events or conferences, or I don't know, the panel with 4 people, or the speaker present a thing, or the workshop, you have like a lot of ways of doing activities together that maximize the engagement of all the participants. And I think we are in the phase in which there are pioneers which are starting to adopt liberating structures intensively, but big events are not doing it yet. Like this event is not liberated with structure at all. And I think it's crazy because like it takes so many months to organize a big event, and then the format of the event is like so traditional that you waste a lot of collective energy for nothing. But I also understand which is like, that if you have a big event, it's difficult also to put a lot of quality in the facilitation thingy. I think we should do it because, one, because objectively you value the energy and attention of people so much more. And 2, also for including people, because like most of the people don't feel like saying, oh yeah, you have a question, and you speak, like blah, 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 blah. And I think like 60% of the people just don't express themselves because the space is not configured in a way that you feel comfortable doing it. So thank you for your work.
I hope you guys feel comfortable. You're still welcome here. Don't hesitate. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we were chatting yesterday about how sometimes it gets very tiring in conferences to hear about people's work, because everybody is doing so much work and so many, I don't know, everyone is in their own rabbit hole and overwhelmed with the technicality of what they're doing. But I feel like we're missing to connect with the whys like why each one of you are here, why are we here, what makes us feel inspired. And I think those stories would make us feel more grounded in what's actually needed, because I feel like we enter into so many like second, third, fourth order problems of like we start to fix something, and then fixing that something creates another problem, and then we start fixing that like second problem, and then there it goes until you don't even know what you're doing anymore or why for. So I would love to have, I don't know, a conference where we just speak about the why. Like, if you feel inspired about why someone is doing what they're doing, you're probably gonna look for how they're doing and what are they addressing with what they're doing.
Yeah, and like that's why at Regions Unite we have this more of like an unconference style. We invite people who are coming to the event to propose their sessions and talk about their whys. And in the plenary they connect already about that and say, hey, I really want to talk about why we need token engineering, for example, or and then really engage on a deeper level. Not just talk about the projects, but why they are interested about it, you know, like why, what brought them to the space in the first place. And, you know, the events, we have a cap of the number of people that come, that can come to the event, and we curate it because of that as well, because after, I don't know, 150, 200 people, it gets really messy, and it gets super, yeah, hard to connect in a more intimate level with people. So that's why we prioritize having like smaller gatherings rather than big megalomaniac, you know, fancy structures. And we really try to connect with the local communities that are already existing in the space. You know, when I went to the first one in Brussels, it was in the Citizens Corner, which is a reappropriated space in the community that Len and Xavier found. And in Berlin, we did the same. We found the Most community, which is already full of people who are doing regenerative stuff that are really cool. And so we merged with them really, really seamlessly. And that's why we try to, you know, focus on, yeah, bringing in the value for the local community as well.
Coming back to the why,
Yeah.
I think it's not only in events. I think in the whole ecosystem, and especially in technology, why we're doing what we're doing. Does the world really need what we're doing? Why is what, even in projects, why we're starting this? Otherwise I feel there's a lot of technocracy, or just go, just deliver, and of course that translates into the stage, because it's the way everything is about how we do things, how we solve. It's this small scale. And usually when it's small, the cycles goes faster. Bigger and wider things, the cycles are slower. So that's, for example, in Common Stack, Livia is like the lead culture of Common Stack, the cultural lead, and we were discussing many times of culture takes time. It's wider cycles. And then the toolkit, the technology, that's fast. So we need to find a way to how to connect these things, because they are two wheels that go together.
Yeah, I mean, another big challenge for these kinds of gatherings is how it funds itself. For example, that is also seen through the lens of the regen lens, in the sense that the more community driven, the more community funded it is, the better, the more resilient it is, the less dependent it is on specific sponsors or big whales, big players in this space. Like, so, for example, Regions Unite exists because of the community, mainly the Gitcoin community. We funded ourselves through the Gitcoin grant stack, and it's really about inviting people to participate, not just financially, but in other ways as well. Yeah, please come.
I also think it's a good question. I don't want to open it, but between like doing things very slow and doing things too fast, I think it's good maths or students or teams that want to stay there. So,
And it's like it's pretty like.
And the main difference that we have to other crypto events is that there is no discussions about token prices or speculation. It's just like activists and token engineers speaking about how to build new infrastructures, and it's very cool, I think.
Yeah, and everyone also participates, right? You work, I don't know, like if you work with like official shifts, etc. But like I remember that we were like cooking and like just helping while we literally went into the woods to find mushrooms and then we made them.
Yeah.
So like it's that vibe of participating in all of it that also creates a certain energy.
Yeah, we try. It's mandatory if you come, even if you pay the ticket, to participate to the commoning, so co-managing the cleaning together and helping with all the, keeping it a place orderly and clean, because it's not a hotel. It's like a commune, we hope.
Nice. Yeah, and just now I have to think about, if we still have time, like about crypto, because you say, the crypto commons gathering, the commons, just like that word. I have to look at Livia, and like she gave a great presentation. I think I mentioned it in my presentation, like 2 years ago, on just like the 8 principles of Ostrom, and just like having a framework and having a culture. So could you maybe say something about that? What are the principles of Ostrom? Livia, can I ask you?
Sure. Yeah, Ostrom, I don't know if is anyone familiar with Elinor Ostrom? She was a writer that she won the Nobel Prize in Economics for writing this book called Governing the Commons. And she basically proved wrong the tragedy of the commons, which is a text wrote by Hardin, I think it's his name, Hardin. That is what governments and corporations use to justify centralization. So the tragedy of the commons basically says that humans are incapable of self-organizing in a way that will respect the shared resources. So he said whenever there's no central authority, everyone will just act towards their own benefit, and that will deplete the common good. And Ostrom did a lot of research on many places that were managing the commons successfully, and they were actually being regenerative, and the common resources weren't being depleted, and they were serving these communities for a long term, and they were actually better than centralized management of some of those resources. So she did a lot of work with water basins and farms and just observing mostly how natural resources were shared. And then she wrote this book with 8 principles of some of the things that she observed from these communities of like, following these 8 principles will help you manage the commons in a successful way. And she won the Nobel Prize on that because that was so revolutionary. That was a way out of the state. That was a way out of the corporation. And I think there is this fight in crypto a lot of like, it's either the state or the market, and people never talk about this path in between that is the commons. And that's why events like the Crypto Commons Gathering and just like talking about regeneration in this way that we can collectively manage our shared resources, because we don't want to be exploiting. We don't want to be just extractivist. Like, this hasn't been done good for none of us or for the nature. Like, we are in the verge of the extinction of our species. And we are still thinking that capitalism is the way. I mean, there's still a lot of people thinking that, which is crazy. It feels crazy. It's really cool to hear stories like yours. And I think a lot of people that start to come to these events and to feel like, well, there's something more there, and there are ways for us to work on it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the essence, and I'm happy we got to this point, and thank you for explaining so beautifully. Because every crypto event should be a regenerative event, right? Like this is really why we're here. It is indeed ridiculous. Like, we're not here just like this idea of this mindset of like of competition or my project has to win, and this is like we're all here because we believe in decentralization. I hope so. Like we should like live and breathe this massively, all of it. So like, yeah, I'm really happy you like brought us together to talk about this, Guil.
Yeah, like on that note, this is a great note to end. Like I think we're at time now. I don't know if the next session holder is here already. Just checking, because we can continue the conversation if not. Yeah.
It's also regenerative to just like stop in time, you know, boundaries.
Yeah, setting the boundaries. Like actually, yeah. But so no, I really thank you for joining the conversation. I invite you to come to these events that we mentioned, the Crypto Commons gathering, the Regions Unite, all of these region hubs. They're popping out everywhere. So,
well, what are the websites? So like Regions Unite.
Regionsunite.earth.
Crypto Commons is what's the website? CryptoCommons.org. Okay, cool.
Yes.
RefiDAO.
RefiDAO has local nodes everywhere now.
Common Stack. Yeah. Giveth. Gitcoin.
Token Engineering Commons.
Token Engineering Commons. All the commons. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.